Rick Harrison, co-founder, and Austin Chumlee Russell, co-star, have entertained millions of viewers with their clever banter and interesting exchanges on the hit reality TV show Pawn Stars. Reports say that their friendship off-screen is not at all like how friendly they seem on screen. There are now 15 episodes in the 21st season of the show, which has been on for 21 seasons. Rick Harrison is said to have refused to interact with Chumlee outside of shooting. The History Channel put an end to the 21st season on June 28, 2023. After the last episode, in 2022, a spin-off show called Pawn Stars Do America debuted. Rick, Corey, and Chumlee went all over the country to find interesting antiques on this show. At the end of 2023, the last episode of Season 1 aired. The second season started early the next year. The shooting for Season 22 of Pawn Stars also began in April. The show's quality stays the same in this new season, which is about the Harrison family and their work at the gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas, Nevada. Rick, Corey, and Chumlee are in charge of figuring out how much things on the show are worth and what their past is. This relationship has helped the show stay popular over the years. Rick and Chumlee are two actors who have done great work in their roles for years, each adding their own skills and ideas to the table. And Chumlee have been friends since they were in the 5th and 6th grades. Corey Harrison is Rick's son. The first time they met, though, wasn't very pleasant. A fight started because of a disagreement that got worse. Later, it was found that Corey's sister had thought she had been bullied by Chumlee when she actually had been thinking about someone else. Someone else, not Chumlee, had picked on Corey's sister. Even though they didn't understand each other at first, the two boys made up, and their friendship grew into a lasting bond. From the age of 21, Chumlee worked at the gold and silver pawn shop. Chumlee first worked as an intern at the pawn shop and then became a pawnbroker. Before the first season of Pawn Stars started shooting in July 2009, he worked there for 5 years. Chumlee used to work as an assistant manager at McDonald's before Rick bought a Quiznos. He had to run it and work at the pawn shop at the same time. Before going to work full-time at the shop, he worked hard at both jobs for 135 days straight, with no breaks. This happened just as the show became more famous. When it first began in July 2009, the show quickly gained popularity, bringing in more people. It had interesting things whose pasts had been lost, telling more people about their lives. Because the show was so popular, it spawned other shows with different themes. Pawn Stars' main goal was to teach people about history while also making them laugh. This was done by making sure that workers understood the things they were reviewing, and by asking experts with a lot of experience to look over some things and share useful information. But they needed interesting people to make the show more interesting. Chumlee was a great choice. He was confident, had a lot of fun, and knew a lot about pop culture. This last point was very important to his character on the show, which made him a fan favorite. At first, Harrison didn't give Chumlee much attention, putting him in the background. However, Chumlee's love of having fun was what made the show funny. He was shown to be the funny guy, who told jokes but didn't seem to be very good at it. Chumlee uses a technique at work that makes some people think less of him. Fans were surprised when he talked about how good he is at pinball games. It's clear that he knows more than he says. There were about 5 years of Chumlee Rose in the store before the first season of the show. It became famous much faster than anyone thought it would. He didn't mind trying Rick and Corey on how much they knew about the business by asking them interesting questions. It wasn't a surprise that people liked seeing how he reacted when new antiques came into the shop. Watch how eager he was to learn about and connect with the backgrounds of some of the things. He always looked for the best deals for the shop because he was a smart businessman. Rick, who works for him, helped open the shop and has been there most of his life. He not only started the show, but he also did half of what was needed to make the pawn shop business bigger and better. Rick had a plan for the show, and worked hard to make it happen. Of course he was thrilled with how well it did, and how much people liked it. In an interview, Rick and Chumlee talked about what it was like to work in the world's most famous pawn shop and why Pawn Stars was still so popular. He laughed and acted not to hear something when Rick told him what to do. Rick agreed and said that he gets along well with Chumlee at work and thinks he is a good person who works hard, even though he does leave sometimes for no reason. It was clear that Chumlee knew how to make Rick laugh and make things funny. People said that their energy was natural and real, which is why they like watching the show. It's like seeing them as they are in real life. Since Rick and Chumlee have worked together for almost 20 years, They have a strong bond that feels like family. Chumlee also said that the show has, in that interview. The new episodes he added show that they've been having a great time. He also said that the last few seasons have been great, and that they're having even more fun. At least to fans, the way the two talked during the conversation seemed friendly. People have noticed that Rick and Chumlee aren't always friendly, even though it seems like they are on the show and in related activities. When they left the camera, this became more clear. Fans were curious about why this was happening, especially since they haven't talked about it in almost 20 years of working together. There are now several different ideas. Rick once said on the show that the shop had so many things that it was hard to remember them all. Chumlee also said it was hard to remember all the shows and things. Fans said that Chumlee had done a lot of deals to get more things on the show. There were good deals and bad deals among these. Rick watched as Chumlee joked with a seller about a valuable coin she wanted to sell in one show about one of the bad deals. Fans got a glimpse of how Rick really felt about Chumlee, but they didn't like it. Julie wanted to sell a rare coin, and Chumlee was there to make the deal. He did exactly what Rick would have done. It was surprising though that Rick walked up to the conversation and took the rare coin, even though Chumlee seemed to be in charge because he called in an expert to check the coin before offering to buy it. It was agreed upon to be the real thing, and a price was set. Fans could tell that Chumlee was trying to take back control of the deal from Rick, but Rick wasn't ready to give it up. The seller finally gave up and went without selling Chumlee. He was mad at Rick and called him a tightwad. Rick told Chumlee that he would never get the business, but he did want to be a boss someday. Rick made a joke about the failed sale when he talked to the camera alone. He said it would be funny if he wasn't there, and Chumlee had to figure out how to sell the coins on his own. Rick didn't trust Chumlee enough to give him high-level sales, even though they had worked together for years. This was not the first time the show had a problem like this. When the old man was alive, he and Rick, Corey, Chumlee and I sometimes had arguments. They would often fight about how to run the shop, with Harrison the older questioning Corey's choices and Chumlee's intelligence and skills. On reality TV shows, people often have personalities that don't always show up in real life. It's not just Pawn Stars that has this problem. Many other shows do too. Because of work boundaries, personal differences, and different interests, interactions that don't happen on screen can seem more complicated. For instance, Rick's efforts to grow the pawn shop business and his participation in family arguments show how serious and sometimes heated his role is off-screen. Chumlee has taken on other tasks that need his attention, but he hasn't shown any signs of doubt about his dedication to the show. He's grown his hobbies to include candy businesses and pawn shops that sell collectibles. He's great at running a lot of different businesses. In 2017, he opened his own candy shop, which he called Chumlee's Candy. There are Chum's own candy brand jerky toothpicks and other fun things for sale on the store's website. Customers have given the shop great reviews. 4.2 stars out of 5 is a very high score. As Chum's Candy posted on Instagram, there are both standard and new sweets to choose from. He had a lot of success with the shop, and he always posts about it on Instagram. Fans think Rick didn't pay attention to Chumlee because he had other things to run. They also believe that the two had gone separate ways in their personal lives, which made it harder for them to talk to each other off camera, even though Rick had been great in business. Fans know for sure that Rick didn't like Chumlee's court problems because they brought bad press to the show. In 2016, Chumlee got in trouble with the law when police searched his home during an investigation into a sexual attack and found guns and drugs. He had to give up some of the guns because they weren't registered. He was told to follow the rules and stay out of trouble until 2019. Chumlee was able to stay out of trouble, and his charges were lowered to misdemeanors, which stayed on his record. This was another reason Rick didn't talk to Chumlee off camera. However, fans point out that Rick didn't have a perfect record either. Another thing that may have kept them from being close is that Chumlee often got more attention. Everyone can relate to Chumlee, even if he seems normal. His charm makes people want to watch, just like some people like guys who are down to earth. Many people like how normal Chumlee is, so as he gets more attention and fame, Rick may have grown jealous and stopped talking to him outside of the show. Another idea is that Chumlee's wild spending, which has made him popular and rich. He has a net worth of $5 million and owns a Maserati Escalade 64 Impala, has caused problems. Chumlee seems to enjoy life to the best, like any other guy would, by going to parties with his friends and listening to his favorite music. Chumlee was spending money, and Rick, who was in charge, might not have liked it. This is a big deal for Rick. He was keeping the store open, so you can imagine how he felt when Chumlee lost a lot of money on the show. Rick has had his fair share of problems at his pawn shop, including some that cost him a lot of money. There was one thing Chumlee didn't like, though his mistake cost the pawn shop $20,000. The shop's only goal is to make money, so when someone does something bad like overpaying or buying something fake, it can be a big deal. Corey told me that one time one of his friends messed up and the shop lost $220,000. This could also be one reason why Rick doesn't like Chumlee outside of the show. He thinks Chumlee puts the shop at risk when he's not there. Some say it's easier to understand. Rick and Chumlee just don't have time to be seen together after the show. Rick said that Rick's Rollin' Smoke BBQ was chosen as Nevada's best barbecue spot. He also works for Rick Harrison Productions on other TV shows. Chumlee and Rick are both busy on Cameo, a site where they make personalized video messages for fans. Cameo is fun for Chumlee, and thinks it would make a great birthday present for someone. Since they're always busy with something, they might not have time to talk outside of the show. Chumlee has been doing something different besides his work. He went through a big change in himself as a result of his amazing weight loss journey. After weight loss surgery, he was able to move around better and had a better quality of life. He lost 160 pounds. The first thing Chumlee did was have gastric bypass surgery. He ate right and worked out to lose weight, but he got some back so he wouldn't have to keep dieting. He chose to have surgery. In 2021, it was clear that the gastric bypass had helped him lose a lot of weight. He felt better after making this move, and it gave him new chances. Since he lost weight, he can do things he couldn't do before, like ride a hovercraft, because he was too big. Chumlee Russell has been staying out of the spotlight. He is known for being quiet on social media. It says that his candy shop is open, but his Facebook page hasn't been changed since 2024, and his most recent Instagram post was in April 2022. There are still rumors that Pawn Stars is not real, but there are still strong facts about Chumlee. It's not clear if he's just living life or trying to stay out of the spotlight after his recent legal problems. He is also said to want to be a boss, but fans think that might not happen anytime soon. Rick Harrison, who has been talking about running for office, has been getting his son Corey ready to take over the business, but Chumlee can still run things. Fans like him, but Rick trusts Corey more. Rick has gotten some praise over the years for how hard he works on the show. During a Pawn Stars spin-off show at Locust Grove in November 2023, he was given the title of Kentucky Colonel. On Instagram they posted a picture of him with the award. The governor of Kentucky gives the Kentucky Colonel as a high honor, so this was a big deal. Rick is happy with his life and his success on reality TV, even though he is in some legal problems. Finally, the relationship between Rick Harrison and Austin Chumlee Russell on Pawn Stars has been fascinating viewers for many years. Fans have been entertained by their fun on-screen relationship and witty banter. The complicated nature of their connection off-screen makes their real-life selves more interesting as they continue with their own projects. Pawn Stars has stayed popular for a long time because of the unique skills and interesting personalities of the contestants.